Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? You guys hear me okay? Let me know if you guys can hear me real quick. Okay, good. Yeah, I think the mic's on there now. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing? Awesome, awesome. All right, let's get started. Bear with me. Let me just set up, kind of rearrange my monitors earlier today for a second, and now I got to put them all back. All right, good. 100% complete. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, let's dive into it. We have, yeah, we got some good volatility coming in. We have I guess I'd call it a confirmation of change in bias. If you go back to October, beginning of October, I was kind of calling for the dollar to start pulling back. And yeah, we're seeing that today on Bloomberg. Analysts were calling the EU bullish push over the last several weeks has been the largest percentage gain on EU in quite some time. So I'm pretty happy that I'm in some EU buys from a couple of weeks ago that I'm still holding. So bias was correct. I'm pretty happy with it, and kind of looking forward to the this Q4 and getting into December. Historically, and just kind of looking back at my last 6 years of trading, historically December starts to bring volatility, however, doesn't bring a lot of opportunity. And what I mean by that is if you don't get in on, the only move of the day or potentially week, you're typically not in a really, really good position for a while. And it's one of those things where you just got to take the opportunity when it presents. Even if, one of the things I wrote down from some notes from a few years ago were, even if the opportunity isn't the cleanest, as long as it meets your confirmations, go in on it, but just reduce your risk accordingly. So for me, maybe half risking it or even putting a little smaller of a risk on what the price action presents in hopes that, if this is the move that actually goes in your direction, you're at least on the bus. You might not be in the front of the bus. You might be all the way in the back or underneath it or on the top, but at least you're on the bus when it takes off. A good example is like US indices. I'm still holding some indice buys from a few weeks ago. And obviously you can see where indices have kind of taken off. Of course, there's a lot of data in the background of it, right? Going into last week, I was very bullish on indices, still maintaining that bullish sentiment just because of, we've got a huge shopping coming in. So stimulus coming into like retail. You've got oil that's continuing to kind of chug lower. And I laugh because analysts this morning were talking about we might have a very low Christmas oil market. And I laughed at that because all it's going to take is one big snowstorm. Specifically in the US, it's going to take one big snowstorm in the Northeast, in the Midwest, and that's it, right? Gas prices are right back to where they were. So, yeah, getting into it, we do have some news coming out. And I'll kind of give you my piece on it. So we do have NZD cash rate coming out. I'm pretty sure that's going to stay right at 5.5. No, no real big shocker there. Kiwi and Australian dollar. I started looking for potential buys, I think like last week or the week before. I'm just not giving it a lot of attention, primarily because the price action on it, I don't know which way we're going. We're kind of caught between the start of potential demand taking over, yet we still haven't taken out supply. So I am just kind of sitting on the back burner with some of these Australian and Kiwi pairs, specifically like AU, ACAD, NU, NCAD. I'm not ready to pull the plug on sells yet, just because fundamentally we still have news out of China, right? And again, it depends on how much of the BS they're going to be really peddling. Um, the biggest thing is China needs to start stimulating their economy. That'll help Australian and Kiwi pairs. However, they have a guy by the name of Xi Jinping who is deciding he is not only the premier, the dictator, the president, the overall leader of China, but he's also the central banker. So his decisions are what are kind of influencing monetary policy. And it isn't the most ideal for their, I guess, proliferation of the issues they've had. Right, the China Central Bank is the first bank to, and they've done it a while ago now, first bank to actually reduce their rates in order to stimulate the economy. That really didn't do a lot. They injected, a couple $100 billion into their economy. That really didn't do a lot. So until they put on their big boy pants and really start to either take monetary policy seriously or potentially inject some really good old hard cash into their economy, I think it's just going to be stagnant. And that's really what is kind of holding me on the fence for some of these Australian and Kiwi pairs. All right. The moves that we've been seeing, like specifically AU and NU, ACAD, NCAD, are really just the dollar giving up a lot of its chokehold on foreign currencies. It's really just dollar driven. So until really I get what I want to see coming out of the fundamentals, I'm just going to sit on the back burner, right? I've kind of narrowed my focus the last like maybe 2-3 weeks to really just EU, GU, and then indices. Why? Because they've been paying. Yesterday, I caught a really good move on US 30 buys. I caught a really good buy on EU. And I mean, if I wanted to, I could be done for the week. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of where I'm going with it. EU and GU, I know the direction. I know the bias. I know everything that I want to see happen is happening. There's no guessing game. There's no confusion, right? It's crystal clear for me. So I've definitely got my sights set on those. And then indices for me, just the short game, playing the intraday moves, catching some positions on where buyers are coming in, taking it to the previous high and calling it a day, leave a runner, So, but we'll get into some more of it. We do have tomorrow overnight during London, we do have some inflation data. I'm really not interested in much of it. I don't think it's going to be a bias changer whatsoever. GDP really isn't going to focus anything for me. It's going to be last quarter statistics. Don't really see a lot of movement on the dollar from that. I think we might get, don't quote me on it, but we might get a 10 pip move on EU from it. When they say they're injecting money into their economy, what does that exactly mean? If you're talking about China, they are providing stimulus. So they're writing a check. They're printing money and writing a check, giving money towards the economy. So just like the US did, where, they gave out in the form of loans, gave out in the form of business opportunities that you don't need to pay back, give out. I'm not up to speed on it exactly because nobody I think is really up to speed on what China is doing. They're pretty close knit, but I don't know exactly where they're putting the money in. I really don't care, just because I'm not part of it. I don't live there. But they're essentially offering the form of stimulus, whatever their stimulus package is, whether it's, giving $1,000 to each person, giving $100,000 to each business, whatever it is. It's not much. It's only 200 billion is what they gave. So if you think about it, the US gave $100 trillion in our stimulus package. So yeah, that's pretty much ideally what it is. But really, this is the only really big news that's going to be influential this week. All right. We do have some year over year inflation data coming out of the euro. Again, not too big. If you listen to what the president of the ECB, Lagarde, said yesterday, um, in her very not so subtle way, said that the U.S. will be making, when I mean the U.S., the Fed will be making the initial rate reduction before the ECB ever does. So they will not even entertain a rate reduction until the Fed has already, I guess, committed and gone through with one of theirs. So for me, that's very hawkish on the ECB compared to what the Fed is doing. That's going to further my bias for elongs, right? And that's ideally what I'm doing. We do have a little bit of PCE coming in, right? But it's only month over month, right? It's not going to be greatly important. Um, Ideally, what I'm going to be looking for is potentially going into tomorrow. I'd like to see, not that it's going to be wishful thinking, but I'd like to see if maybe at London we can see some kind of accumulation. Hopefully, we can get a little bit of a pullback. I'll show you where I'm looking tonight. But if we can get a pullback and potentially get some price action to come in, that'll set me up for New York Open, to where I can ultimately try to get, much like yesterday, a accumulation out of this price action, giving this my manipulation as the spring, and I can play mitigation of that. And then going same thing on Thursday morning, I'd like to get into a position prior to this and make this just the mitigation point of where I'm already in at. And that's my game plan for the week. Friday, I don't plan on doing much. There is some ISM coming out. I would imagine that that is going to further cause indices to go bullish, right? I'm really not going to be bearish on indices until we get later into the month. And when I mean the month, I'm talking about December. And then, of course, late Friday, we get Powell speaking. So that's really my game plan for the week from a fundamental side. Um, they gave you some bricks. Yeah. So all those people that thought that that was the greatest thing since sliced bread, I don't think they're making out. I don't think they're making out. Does that mean EU buys for long? EU buys for long. You mean like long as in tenure? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like I said, I mean, we'll get over to the charts. I was anticipating dollar is in a potential redistribution. So let's look at it. Okay, my trading view was slow today. Mm-hmm. Oh, what am I doing? Never mind. Hold on. Let's go dollar. Here we go. All right. So for me, where we're sitting from a monetary policy perspective, I talked about this where I'm anticipating this breaking this low and this being the redistribution, right? Now, whether or not we take these lows, that's really going to be dependent on where we are when that gets there, right? When you see overall where we're at, I would imagine that the first two areas I'm going to be looking for is going to be coming into here. And if we take these lows, obviously we're coming down to here. So I don't think we're going to take these lows quite yet. I think we are about 12 months from being in this area. All right. And anybody have an idea why this is where I'm guessing we're going to be in 12 months? So in 1 year from this time period, we'll call it 10, 11, 12 months. That's when we're going to get down here around like the 90 to 95 level. Yeah, the election. Exactly. The election's really going to decide, the US presidential election's going to decide whether or not we take these lows or we react from it and go higher. Right. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So realistically, if Democrat wins we're going to go this way. And if a Republican wins, we're going to go this way. So that's why realistically, I'm going to be bearish dollar until we get probably till next summer. Like June, July, yeah, June, July, I'll start reevaluating it. But for the most part, I'm looking for us to target that low right there. That's going to be my first part. So, and it makes sense, right? I mean, everybody knows already. I'm assuming what's significant about like June, July. What are analysts calling for? What are analysts calling for? Rate cut. Exactly. Yep. So if the Fed does a rate cut, what's that do to the dollar? Yeah, bearish dollar. Absolutely. Right. So that's kind of the game plan. Right. Kind of looking at the bigger picture. So it's because of their policy. Yeah, exactly. Um, uh, Republicans focus more on butter and Democrats on guns. No, so typically Republicans are more conscientious of trade deficits and debt ceilings, where Democrats are a little more aggressive in their just printing their money and throwing it out. I feel like, well, no, I don't want to get this video. Yeah, we'll call it as it is. Anyway, so yeah, that's my game plan, right? Pretty much expecting and looking forward the continuation of these cells. All right. But yeah, I mean, when we saw the distribution happen back here at the beginning of October, that's where I really felt like, we were going to be here for a while and we could see the sell orders coming in, right? And now we're just seeing that. So from a dollar perspective, right? From a dollar perspective, my game plan is very simple. My game plan is at this point. All right, there we go. So at this point, this is maintaining our order flow, right? So realistically, if price could ever find its way back up here, this would be the most ideal position for me to be in, right? So this is my first option, right? Price coming back up into this redistribution here so that we can ultimately mitigate this move that happened in New York, right? London into New York crossover. Before we get there, though, where I'm going to be looking is I want to see if we can come back up in a pullback to get back up into yesterday's New York, right? This is where ultimately I took an EU buy out of, but I would like to see if we can get into this New York price action here. All right. Now I'm almost positive that we won't, because I feel like because of the contract change here, this was overall the mitigation of that price action, because that was ultimately the mitigation on EU. So what I'm going to be looking for now is going to be if price can, at the very minimum, come back into here. This is where I want to trade out of. All right. So ultimately, I'm going to move this down. We'll kind of inspect it real quick. Hold on. And then we'll look over at EU, kind of show you where I'm looking. All right. So what I'm ultimately looking at is this redistribution that happened earlier this morning, right? So this is going to be what's maintaining my lowest form of order flow that I care about. And I'm almost positive we're going to get confluence between the SC, but let's see. So is that 50%? Just shy of it. Okay. So kind of looking at what happened here. Oh, hold on. Stupid dogs. Bear with me. Let me just mute my cameras. All right, there we go. All right, so what do we know? We know that Frankfurt came in here, and this is London. So London gave ultimately the start of sellers coming into the market. We see the distribution. We see the redistro here. So this is, nope, wrong one. This is where I kind of want to see us come back into. There we go. So this is where I want to see us come back into. I like the confluence we have, and ultimately I'd be looking for price action as support a distribution in this area, right? This is what I want to see. So ultimately it's going to be that, you know, what time was this at? This was, yeah, okay. So New York Open. New York Open is what ultimately I want to see us come back into. So on EU, yeah, so on EU, that's where I want to see us come back. So looking at ultimately, there we go. All right, so looking at what we're bigger picture, right? I was kind of hoping to see if we can do this like a shakeout and then here. Obviously, I don't think we're doing that. So where I'm going to be looking for an EU now. Yeah, all right. So same price action. Okay. So and this is what I'm talking about. So I feel like this was the mitigation after we broke, the mitigation coming back into here. And then ultimately this distro turns into a reaccumulation. And this is my slingshot, right? So ultimately I'm looking at 109, like 54 area for us to come back into. So I'm going to move my alert just a little bit up. There we go. Perfect. All right. And then what I'm going to be looking for is this right here. I'm going to be looking, I like how we swept out the distribution, right? Not very seller driven, the manipulation right here, and then off we go. So this is the buy order that causes this break right here, the booth. And from a perspective of the overall move, yeah, there we go. X marks the damn spot, man. Okay. So 50% of the overall move is 80% of this move right here. And when you measure that move right there, the last sell order that causes that break, that is 50%. So we get 50% of this move, 80% of this move is the same price point as 50% of that. And that's what I call confluence. So for me, 109.50 is where I'm looking. 109.50 is where I want price to come. So we're sitting at, yeah, it's 44 pips away. So hopefully we can get price to give us a pullback coming in tonight. And this is where I'm really going to be focused on. You know, that's going to take a little bit of effort here. Maybe, well, I'll tell you this. I take that back because I don't want them to linger here too much. I'd like, and this for me looks like just profit taking, but I'd like for them to very disorganized wise come on back down. And this is where I want to take my buy right here. So 109.50 is where I'm looking. Yeah, the buy from yesterday that I caught, my first take profit was a 1 to 18, and I'm still holding 50% volume. At its highest, this thing went 80 pips for a 1 to 57. So not too shabby. You know, for a Monday, it was a nice little trade of opportunity, but really clean price action. So EU, that's what I'm looking for. All right. Let's take a look over at GU now. Let's take a look here. All right, so GU just doesn't want to pull back, man. Damn. For anybody that I know, there's a couple of people. I know, like Kieran, you caught it. I know a couple of people caught this bad boy in here, and that thing's at a 1 to 79, and these two are at like a 1 to 70. Yeah, buyers, 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 man. All right, so we haven't seen the pullback. Let's just see. All right, no pullback, no pullback. Yeah, you could kind of see what I wanted this morning. I was really, really hoping for a shakeout. I wanted this distro to shake this crap out and give me accumulation here to tick higher. We did not get that. So I got no manipulation whatsoever. And no manipulation. I mean, there is no manipulation anywhere. So Asian low intact. New York intact. New York broke this. So New York is still here. So New York's the line in the sand for order flow. Yeah. All right. So from an order flow perspective, where the heck are we? We are. All right. So that's our 80. And all right. So I'm going to be looking somewhere here. Ideally below 26.22 and like 26.10. So like this 12 pip area, this is where I'm looking. But I want to see some pretty clean price action. Like you could see really clean accumulation. This is type 2, right? No manipulation, but EU gave the manipulation. So that's why I took the EU long. So I'd like to see something in this area here, right? Between like 26.10 to like 26.22. That's where I'm going to be looking on EU tonight. See if we can get the pullback. Now, what happens on EU and GU if we don't get the pullback? Well, play continuation move, right? So something in line of where we are here. I'd like to see us linger all of Asian. I'd like to see typically around London Open the sweep. And then if it starts to accumulate, that's where I'm going to take the buy, right? This would be the aggressive play, right? And the safe play would be wait for this break and now play the mitigation to take it higher. But I'll be honest, EUGU, I'm going to be aggressive. You look at a couple of factors. You look at what's going on over here with bond yields, right? Look at bond yields. Bond yields, like I said, are coming down, right? 10-year, look at the 2-year coming down, right? We've got a massive change, I guess, in what's going on in the bond markets. And then you just jump over to what the dollar's doing. And you can see the dollar's heading. At this point, dollar is heading, in my opinion, at minimum down here around like the 101 level, you know? So for the rest of the week, we'll be selling off. All right. That's kind of where I'm at with. Yeah. So GUU, that's kind of where I'm looking at. So now that dollar is bearish and money is flowing into things like EU and GU, meaning it's technically driving them. No. Why do you think? Because so money is flowing into things like EU and GU. So you think that because of what the dollar is doing, that money is going into the euro and it's going into the pound? Yeah, I don't compare EU and GU at all. No, for me, money is leaving the dollar and bonds, and they're going into things like this right here. Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing, and we won't know until, I mean, if I read COT reports every Friday when they come out. So the most recent COT reports over the last 2 weeks are definitely showing a decline in long positions, right, on the dollar. So dollar longs are declining. Um, and for the most part, the shorts are staying the same. So for me, I don't see a great increase in shorts yet, but the longs ultimately are telling me take profits. So that's why I don't know what we're going to do when we get here yet. Potentially we could see maybe something like this and then the drop. So when I start to see more shorts come in, right, that's going to be the telltale sign for me. All right. So dollar EUGU, that's pretty much where I'm at. I talked about AU and NU again. Like, we look at what's going on here, and supply is in control from here, right? Supply is controlling from here, but look at the effort that went into these buys. So obviously it's a good hedge. Who's ever done this is hedged in from sells and hedged in from buys. You know, so I don't know at this point. Obviously, if we come up into this area and we start to see sellers, right? Sure, I'll give it a look, but I'm not playing. I'm not going to play in between it. This is at least a week to 2 weeks away from giving me the price action I want. So AU not really interested in doing much with it. It's one of those that I was looking this morning if she did give me a little bit of a buy, but I mean, look at this. There's trend line traders are definitely stoked about this, but there's really nothing for me to play on this. It's not any price action I really want to play. And over on NU, same thing. Like this was really the only safe play that I wanted was this last manipulation that occurred here, and we've just been in just a long trending position to the upside. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. When we get into a potential area where supply is coming, if fundamentals, kind of present itself that we could see some shorts. All right, I'll get in on it. But other than that, I'm not too interested in trying to fight AU and NU. Like I said, EUG pretty clear for me what's going on. I would if I would say that my inclination is that AU and NU are going to continue to go bullish, but they're just not providing the entry that I want to see. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at currency wise, and then on indices, yeah, I'm bullish. I am looking for the longs, right? The main thing I'm looking at, let's jump over to main thing I'm looking at is this reaccumulation. Um, it was a little disconcerting that we did not get the shakeout, but it is what it is. I tried to get a buy this morning on this, and she just didn't give it to me. So what I'm going to be looking for now is we do have. Let's go to like a 5 minute. So we don't have a real big shakeout like I would have wanted, right? But what I do want to see, there we go. What I do want to see is I want to see if we can come back into this. So this is there you go. So this is our order flow leg. If we can come back into here, and ideally I'm looking somewhere around here, that's going to be where I'm going to be looking for a buy. So ideally, the game plan for me is very simple. About 9:30, I'm going to take a look at indices. If we're at a discounted area in this larger schematic, and I start to see accumulation coming in, something like this, right? Something like this, I'm going to take it. I'm taking it and I'm going to the upside with it. So, and for me, it's just previous day's highs. So, we come in here, taking it to this high, and I'll leave a runner. I'll leave one order running, but I'm going to take significant profits off of that. So that's my game plan with US 30, and then on SPX, So SPX, right? We do have the shakeout. Let me hide all these drawings for a sec. So we do have a potential shakeout, right? But this is just a mess, right? This for me is low volume. It's a mess. Obviously, just coming out of news and New York session is really the only time to trade this thing. Outside of that, it is very very weak. So ideally, what I kind of want to see. So today's price action was actually pretty interesting. Um, One of the things I'm going to be looking for is nothing's going to happen until we either take the high, or if we don't take the high, I want to see. So this is kind of what I'm looking at from an accumulation standpoint. What I want to see is if we linger here the rest of the day, I would want to see that we have a reaccumulation with a shakeout. And if we get that shakeout, then I'm just going to play the safe play. So ultimately what that's going to translate to is, so let's look at it like this. We have an accumulation, right? So say we come here and then we do this. Now I can start looking for buys out of here to take up. I'm not going to be here and then we come here and I see the accumulation and then I'm going to try to play the reaccumulation like this. I'm not taking this entry, right? Um just because I would have wanted some. I mean, definitely we got volume coming into New York here, right? So I would want to see that same kind of commitment from buyers. And I won't know what that price action is until we get closer to equities open down here. So that is my game plan. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I am looking longs really until sellers show up. I'm not going to be interested in trying to hold off on the short. Uh, what do you want? Yeah, we can look at gold. You got a chart? I have no clue what you want to do with gold, man. I've been saying, I mean, gold has been erratically volatile to the upside and to the downside. So I couldn't tell you what about gold, man. I haven't traded. I don't think I've traded gold on a live account. Man, when was the last time I traded gold? It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Last time I traded gold. I mean, look at this. We did 2,600 pips today in New York alone. And from London, from Asian, it went 4,100 pips. That's ridiculous. Where is? Yeah. Couldn't even tell you about gold, man. Why do I trade futures? Because it's the actual market. So like if I'm marking up something or I want to get an accurate point, I'm gonna always do it on futures. I would do it on my so like I trade on my TD Ameritrade account futures, and I just wish their software was just easier to use. Because like when I log in to put in my orders on TD Ameritrade, it's like it's not as easy as TradingView. So yeah, I'm pretty sure gold is. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, she accumulated nicely in there. I'm pretty sure she's gonna take that high. So I don't know if we're gonna see 2,100 though. I think this is just overall on a larger distro. So I have no idea what's moving the gold markets. So I could care less about trying to trade gold. But it looks like she's in a big ass freaking distribution. So yeah, it looks like she's in a very, very large distro. You could potentially see a sweep and then that right there. So, but I have no idea what's moving the markets. So I'm pretty sure today's move had to do with Israel, and I want to say there was a palladium mine that exploded. So anything dealing with metals is always going to have a similar effect. It accumulated out of a daily point of interest. I mean, overall, it's bullish, right? I mean, you look at the weekly, we're bullish. I mean, you're bullish from here. This is the accumulation I'm guessing you're talking about, right? Yeah. My thing is look at how long we accumulated here and look at this massive distribution. So if they're going to go higher with it, I'd be more inclined to see them come back to try to mitigate some of this crap. But I have no idea. I don't know what's really driving the market right now. So I mean, I know today's move was definitely Israel related. So, and just look at what we've done in a week, man. Jeez. Look at what we have done. Yeah, I have no desire to try to trade this. Nope, I'm good, man. Sounds good. Could you explain your thought process on the US 30 buy attempt, trying to get a better of these smaller order? What do you mean on the buy attempt? What I was trying to do today? When do I switch to futures with indices? What do you mean when do I switch to indices? Yeah, what do you mean when I switch? So that was my play today. That's what I was looking at. Mm-hmm. So let's see, where's so we ultimately order flow was from here to here, right? We don't make any highs, we don't make any lows. We do come and sweep out this low. We also sweep out London accumulation, and then we take out the high. So once we broke this high right here, now I didn't want to break Asian high because this was my targets. I wanted to take out these highs with my order. So once we came into a position where we are now in here to here, and then ultimately we break here. This is now our new leg. So this accumulation is my new leg. So this, just like that. So at this point, I'm ready. I was prior to this move, right? So here's the open right here. At the open, I was kind of hoping that we were going to sweep the lows, and I was looking for an accumulation down here, but that didn't happen. So once we break and now we have a new leg, this is the buy order that causes all that, right? This is the reaccumulation. There's your creek, right? Sweeps out and then cause this move. So now it's just a matter of finding some confluence. So, I just measured out this move. This is the sell order that drove it down, and then immediately buys came in. So I was looking for price in the 50 and 80, and you can kind of see I just offset it. So my targets were Asian highs. So this was my play. This is how I was looking to play it. And then I kind of just stopped looking at it around 12:30 because she just didn't come back. She ends up coming back. Um yeah, there you go. So she missed it. I wouldn't have been in this trade anyway because this happened at 102, and I stopped. I deleted my orders around 12:30. So this missed me by 4 points, I think. If I still had the limit in, yeah, it was 4 points. So it ends up coming into 50 of the whole move. So, but that wouldn't have been a trade I would have taken. So she comes in to, yeah, there you go. She comes into 50 of the whole move of the leg. And it's not, yeah, the R to R on that is crap. So I would never have had the 50. Even playing to that low. Well, I guess playing it that low, it would have been, but I wouldn't have taken it. It would have been a what, 1 to 7. So yeah, for me, there was way more confluence to come into this. So that's how I set this up. So, but no trade. She didn't get me in. Yep. Yeah. And then the one trade was, and then SPX, pretty similar. I mean, you saw I had the divergence on there. There was definitely divergence here, but I mean, you get pretty clean price action. This ain't nothing crazy. So you get the accumulation, you get the distro, the shakeout. She breaks order flow. You get divergence going on here with US 30. As soon as she broke, measuring the whole move, she comes in right to the 80 and off she goes. And then you can kind of see I was looking to play this as well. And yeah, she doesn't come back till later. So, but this was a pretty clean play. This would have been to first targets, which would have been Asian first targets. That was a 1 to 11 on first targets, and then to where is she to the next targets would have been this high here was a 1 to 18. So yeah, again, I'm bullish on it. So I'm looking for those buys. And we'll see what she does. Yeah. No, I don't. Nope. Yeah. So that's pretty my game plan. That's how I'm looking at it. It says it right there with $12.50 risk, but with these really aggressive plays, the risk is normally a lot lower. No, that's what I had at risk after I reduced. I only had spread at risk. Yeah. Yeah. So this would have been 62.50. So I had 1 point or yeah. So it was just my spread. So after I reduced risk, I only had $12.50 on the line. Yeah. hmm Yeah. So on this play, it was 62.50. Yeah. Like on this one here, I think it was 125. No, 62.50. Yeah. Yeah. So I secured 356 at first target, and then I had 1250 at risk. So, but it was a pretty quick trade. I mean, what are we talking here? We're talking an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I am looking at. Like I said, I've kind of narrowed it down just to what is extremely clean. So EU, GU, and then indices is really what I'm targeting. Um, don't know if anybody else is looking at anything specific. I've got a couple of minutes left. We could definitely take a look at it. But yeah, this is pretty much ideally where I'm looking. And yeah, I mean, I'm just playing the short game. So target to the next previous high. That's how I'm going to be looking to take this. You got it, bro. You got it. Um, where are we with? Yeah, no. All right, sounds good. All right, cool. No one else has anything else. I'll call it a night. I'm gonna go grab some dinner. Pretty cool night here in sunny South Florida, so I'm gonna go enjoy it. You guys have a good one. Thank you for hopping on. I'll catch everybody later.